We are a little over halfway through the year 2024, a year that has had some great new releases already and some tremendous films that I've watched for the very first time. I'm going to rank the top 10 films I've seen this year with you here today. But before we get to the proper 10, I'd like to highlight 3 films I'd recommend from the year 2024 that may or may not be on this very list. The first is, coincidentally, The First Omen, which is a wonderful horror film that does what Immaculate tries to do just better and is a great addition to the Omen series. Next, we have Civil War, which is an intense and gripping look at war journalism and a tremendous bounce back for the director Alex Garland. And lastly, we have Dune Part 2, which is the sci-fi extravaganza of the year. Now that we've got that sorted, let's get to the 10 movies I've watched in 2024 that are my top 10 favorites, with number 10, which is Fellowship of the Ring. Watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy was one of the highlights of my movie watching year, but it's worth highlighting the specific films within the trilogy that I liked most. Fellowship sees insane moments like the flashback to Sauron, Gandalf, depending on how you like it, fighting the Balrog, and of course, the terrific introduction to this amazing world. Number 9 has us visiting the screenwriter who is amazing's great works with The Apartment. And the screenwriter and director that I'm talking about is Billy Wilder. I'm a self-appointed romance movie expert, and this, my friends, is one of the greatest within that genre. The writing is incredibly enthralling. It pushes the pace always and pulls emotion out of the viewer. This isn't just one of the best romance films, this is a timeless classic, and that, of course, is The Apartment. At number 8, we go back to Lord of the Rings with The Two Towers. I think I can sum up why I love this movie as much as I did in 2 words: Helm's Deep. Not to give anything away, but Return of the King, unfortunately, is not on this list of the top 10. And if it was just even slightly expanded, it would be, because it is in the same tier as its contemporaries. The reason it's not on the top 10 is that it does linger on the endings a little bit too long for my tastes. So it's just enough to bump it below the other 2 within the trilogy. But The Two Towers and Fellowship of the Ring have all the pros and none of the cons, and thus The Two Towers is in my top 10. At 8, we have another Billy Wilder film, that being Ace in the Hole. Not only is this a great media-inspired film, which has proven to be a subgenre I enjoy, but another impactful ending from a tremendous writer. Kirk Douglas puts on a memorable performance in which he covers the story of a man stuck in the rubble of a closed-down Indian cave. Both Kirk and the trapped man's outcomes kept me gripped until the very end. Few fates could be worse than being trapped in rubble, but failing to subscribe just may be. I have videos ranking all of Kubrick's films, all 10 of Tarantino's features, all 9 of PTA's movies, as well as analysis on Enemy, multiple films, and podcasts diving deep into dozens of movies as well. I will shout out particular videos that cover subjects that I have in these rankings as we progress. And thank you for watching and subscribing. And don't be afraid, or should I say, be sure to hit that bell icon. The first and such shout out will be for number 7, which I've covered on my channel, and that is Dune Part 2, of course. I thought the Ben Gesserit angle to be handled expertly. On top of that, we build a huge conflict for the ending, and it more than lives up to the hype. Coming in at number 6, we have a part of a trilogy in The Human Condition Part 3. I think the entire trilogy is well worth watching, but frankly, Part 3 is just a cut above the rest in it being the conclusion of the entire story. The ending of this film makes the entire journey well worthwhile, I will say. Number 5 has us taking on the 7.5-hour Hungarian Giant, which sounds like the build up to a introduction for a WWE wrestler, but that is, of course, Satantango, which Matt and I covered in a long form podcast. So check that out if you've seen this and want a real deep dive on it, or if you're interested in the film but don't necessarily want to watch 7 hours but are okay with listening to deep discussion on what it means for a couple hours. The political commentary made throughout this film is very poignant and meaningful for Eastern Bloc countries post-USSR collapse. At number 4, we have another film in which Matt and I covered, and that film is A Brighter Summer Day. It's a similar premise as Satantango, as it explores the country's burgeoning identity after seceding from its larger overlord, for lack of a better term. But this time, it is for Taiwan. It's my favorite Edward Yang film, and so full of emotion and impactful moments. And it should be said, for many of these directors, Kobayashi from the Human Condition trilogy, then we have Bela Tarr from Satantango, and now Edward Yang. They have tremendous films that I've seen this year that are just outside the list. They're all three directors that I highly recommend, and I think directors that you will be really happy to have discovered. And another one of those directors is David Lean, with his movie, maybe the best he's made, or at least that I've seen, which is number 2, being Lawrence of Arabia. This film is full of beautiful shots and amazing music. Peter O'Toole puts on the performance of a lifetime in this odyssey of a film. David Lean, the director I just mentioned, who directed this film, is talented and amazing. And like I said, I was fortunate enough to be introduced to his filmography through this film. Last but not least, we have number 1, which is a hat trick for Billy Wilder, another director I can't recommend highly enough, by way of Sunset Boulevard. Let's make no mistake, Wilder is among the greatest writers/directors of all time. I will most certainly be making numerous videos on him the more I watch. Of the 5 films I've seen from him thus far, he has made nothing but amazing features, but this is my favorite of them all. Norma Desmond is perhaps the most interesting character from any film I've seen this year, and makes for an intensely engrossing character study with the signature brilliant writing from Wilder. So, again, we've covered Billy Wilder, Edward Yang, Kobayashi, and many, many more. Denis Villeneuve. And they're all directors I'm really interested in and intend to watch all of their filmographies and want to rank them the way I did Kubrick, Tarantino, PTA, Sergio Leone, James Cameron, and more. So I do ask, please subscribe to the channels and hit that bell icon so that you don't miss those videos when they come out. Thank you for watching this one. Let me know your thoughts on any of the films I included, and I will catch you on the flippity floop. Bye, y'all.